Welcome home, daddies. Welcome home, daddies. Welcome home, daddies.
Draft Daddies, you're getting 2 casts in 2 weeks, which is more or less what the norm should be. But we are excited. Well, I'm excited to be here, but also not really. I'm here kind of out of obligation. But I am excited to not be here alone. And we have our two co-hosts. We got the full trio here. Gents, how are ya? Mr. Aaron, Mr. Kamish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm great. It's a pleasure to be here. We've kind of got the whole Goldilocks thing going on here. We've got the too hot, the too cold, and the just right here in the middle. So, yeah, it's good to be here. We've got a wide array of standings.
Yeah. Should we? I think we've all got a little brewski. Hang on, let me pop it. All right. Should we cheers to us three and two? Here's to everyone. It could be middle of the day. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, I'll drink to that, bro.
You know, wherever you're at right now.
Join us wherever you're at right now. Doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
Does
if
not
you're
matter.
Driving, if you're in public education, doesn't matter.
And you know what? That was a fantastic little perfect pour into my mouth. And we haven't done perfect pour alert moment in a long time. It's been a few minutes. I think it's been since before we had Jake on, which feels like forever ago, even though it wasn't. Mr. First Place, he wants the crown. You've got a lot to be thankful for. A lot of perfect pours going on. Aaron, the Corona King.
I've even got a crown on my beer that I'm drinking right now. Nothing hits it, in my opinion. I know it's.
Hang on, let me get my crown on, just so I can feel a little better about.
Oh, there you go.
Here we go. For those of you, because we don't share video, going ahead and threw my Draft Daddy Championship DDC hat on, and I'll wear this for the rest of the cast just to make myself feel better.
That extra waiver pick really did you well this year, so really glad.
If you noticed real quick, I did not drop Kenny Gainwell at all, and I refused to unless I was like in a pinch. I think I still have him rostered. Aaron, you had a great season. Give us your perfect pour, either of the last 14 weeks of the NFL or fantasy regular season, or just last week. What you got, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I maybe if you had a couple of extra waiver slots, it might have helped a little bit. So, anyways, enough of that. My perfect pour, and I'm not going to look across the season. I am actually going to go from this past week, which was hilariously probably one of the most exciting parts of the week, which is Brandon Aubrey. I don't know if any of you were actually watching those games or paying attention to fantasy. I know Chris has him on his team. He's the number one kicker in fantasy, which is really cool. But the dude hit a 60-yarder and a 59-yarder. He's the first kicker in history to have 2 59-plus, but also hit a 50-yarder and a 40-yarder as well. The dude just balled out. 23 points from a kicker is nuts. Number one kicker in fantasy, and I really just thought it was a key highlight that this dude is putting them through. And I think Justin Tucker's time kind of at the top of the league might be coming to a close. So,
yeah, that is those. I feel like you only remember you remember maybe your kickers on your teams, but outside of that, there were only a few big names that you can think of as far as like big leg kickers. You know, what was the glasses guy from Indy that's not playing anywhere anymore? He was
Rodrigo
Blankenship. Hot Rod.
I always loved Sebastian Janikowski.
Yeah, I love when I kick the ball too. So, anyways, perfect pour. I always like doing things that are not quite football related. And while may not be playing the best, they did get a win. Tommy DeVito here. I love just when you get excited about a player.
ILL.
I mean, sure, if that's what you want to say. I love his family's tailgate. They tailgated the game on Monday, and they, big Italian family. And so they had just an incredible tailgate on Monday night. On the menu, they had fried chicken cutlet sandwiches topped with fresh mozzarella, roasted peppers, balsamic glaze, as trays of pasta, sausage, peppers, rice balls. I mean, like, if I'm going to a tailgate, I'm going to the DeVito family tailgate. So just love when people do things right, especially with a family whose quarterback is making a scene right now. So, yeah, big fan of Tommy DeVito.
I love him, and led the game-winning drive. And I don't know if you saw this, but his dad, who might be the bigger star of the family than even Tommy is, and his agent were in the crowd together. And his agent, you got to put up a picture of this guy. Looks like a mafia, cheesy mafia member. He's got the black fedora, and he's literally wearing like a pinstripe suit in the stands at this football game. And he kisses his dad on the cheek. The dad just starts kissing everybody's cheeks. And so Tommy's agent and his dad are kissing each other in the stands as he's going for his game-winning drive. It was awesome.
For me, I'm going real stereotypical. I was just screaming ILL, INI, sticking with Illinois. But listen, between myself and the Bears this year, we have not had a lot of just wins in general, like emotional or actual wins. And the Bears took down a very, very capable Detroit Lions team who are hoping for their playoff push. They're going to win the NFC Central or NFC North most likely. We'll see, Packers. But nonetheless, we took them down. Justin Fields had that great over-the-top throw to DJ Moore. It was and he's scoring points. Got to end my season on a win. The Bears got to end the fantasy regular season on a win, and we're just taking the small ones that we have right now. But bear down. At least they're giving us something to cheer for. That's all I've got, because nothing else was exciting enough to really get into it. So
I feel like part of it is, it's like when you play a horrendous round of golf, but on the 18th hole, you have a nice drive. Maybe you get a birdie, or maybe even just hit a par for a good day. It gets you coming back a little bit more. I feel like that's the Bears lately. They'll look good kind of here at the end of the season, get you excited about next year, and then they'll deliver under expected.
And that's what but it can't be unexpected because that's what we expect. So, hey, we should preface all of this with saying this is going to be a long cast, but you got to stick with us because there's going to be some good stuff. And that next good stuff is not so good to most of you. It's what most of my season felt like. And that's the Malort moment. Disgusting! Aaron, let's send it back around to you, bud.
I'm gonna go to my fantasy team on this one. And I'm actually gonna look back, though I've had an amazing year. I made, unfortunately, one trade that just didn't work out for me, and I'm hoping that it's so far. Since I traded for Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon has jumped from about running back 18 to a top 10 running back for Jackson. He put up 138 points this week, which is incredible. But Stephon Diggs in 3 of the last 4 games has scored 4 points. And I don't know what's going on with the chemistry with Josh Allen ever since Trayvon Diggs made the comment about getting him out of Buffalo. He has been really disappointing. And so I'm really hoping he steps it up in the playoffs and is the Stephon Diggs of old. But it's been a pretty disappointing trade on my end. And I will even say Jackson, despite losing Demario Douglas, has Drake London actually went off for him last week. Had 172 yards on 10 catches. Who would have thought Desmond Ridder could even think about throwing for 172 yards? So far the trade worked out in Jackson's favor, which cheers to him. He's out of the playoffs. I don't even have to worry about those players anymore, which is great. I'm just hoping Stephon Diggs will show up for my team.
And we'll get into this, but he kind of got an eagle on 18 with his 139-point number 1 score last week for his irrelevant game as well.
And he got my house. And he got my house.
Yeah. Proud homeowner.
I mean, props to him for paying the mortgage, I suppose, his mortgage. Anyways, yeah. So Blake, I don't remember what you said you were going to go over here, but I'll make kind of 2 quick points here. One, Patrick Mahomes is a bitch, so let's get that over with. No reason to complain the way that he did. But on the other side, we're going to go with the Vikings and the Raiders game. And I like to kind of make this personal, even though I could care less about either one of these teams. I just imagine if you're a Vikings fan, which, you live in Minnesota, so life can't be too great anyways, unless you like hockey.
So you're from Minnesota?
What's that look for, Blake?
Because Minnesota would be a great place to live. Anyway,
I
keep
don't
going.
think so. Anyways, yeah. So imagine, you live in Minnesota. It's cold there all the time. There's probably snow there already. You fly down to Vegas for a trip with the boys to watch, the Vikings. And yes, you come away with a win, but a 3-0 win in the last 2 minutes off of a who was it? Greg Joseph 38-yard field goal. Just utterly disappointed. I guess better than being a Raiders fan at that moment, but just I would bet that game probably broke records for Red Zone for being on their show the least. Don't have any facts about that, but just how disappointing.
My Malort moment this week will be real quick, and it is that Shohei Ohtani went to the LA Dodgers, and that just really is just an absolute. Yeah. I don't know if you're making that face because I'm talking about baseball.
No.
Okay.
It's a Malort moment.
It's a Malort moment, and it's
bad for baseball. It's horrible.
It's bad for baseball. Week 14, we're all wrapped up. We're gonna breeze through these recaps real quick, and because there were only a few actually like relevant games in the last week.
So yeah, relevant games this last week. Quick recap on that fact. Let's go ahead and pull a cat out of the bag here. Just my ugly performance against Jax. I scored 58 points this week. Worst of the week and not worst of the year. Thankfully, I know I had another 50-point performance earlier this year. And Jax came out and just took my house with 138 points. High point on the week and maybe even the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
just an ugly performance by me.
We probably have to check, but 80 points might be one of the largest point differentials we've ever seen in a matchup, actually. So Jack went crazy, which is awesome. And so I will say, despite your horrible performance, you did just enough to beat out Cox, who also had a disappointing performance against Team Keegs and got beat by 33 himself, or more than that, 43 himself. And he needed to outscore you by 24, and he outscored you by 10. So 14-point margin of defeat for Sir Cox-a-Lot this year. And Keegs, gets into the playoffs with the second best record on the year.
And
if Cox starts Ezekiel Elliott over DeAndre Swift, that takes on the ship.
Yeah, which I don't know who does. I had him in a couple other leagues, and I had him sat in them. But Zeke was looking like Zeke, and that's exciting. Before we move on from this game, this was arguably the only real relevant game in this last week. And yeah, it was not very exciting. It was exciting trying to see if Kirby would get to that 24-point mark. But you guys both lost your quarterback, so does it really matter? I don't know. Well, let's talk about an irrelevant game, but another high point score, number 2 on the week. Those are your Astral Amphetamines. We got a little bird on the last hole. Hey, I'm just happy to take down my fellow Chicagoan. I hate to have to do it, but it was irrelevant for him this week, so no skin off either of our back. But Justin Fields showed up. This is for both Jack and I. This has got to be the week. You got to feel good going into, well, for myself a bye, but going into the losers bracket. Aaron, you snuck out another dub, man.
Yeah, man, 11th on the year. I scored 1-1-1 to get my 11th win on the year. It's pretty good. So Jake Browning, I've had a lot of luck plugging in pieces on off weeks. Jake Browning here, Kate Otten when he scored 20 plus. I've had a couple of lucky streaks here with some guys off the waivers. So Jake Browning. Really, really big Cincinnati game. Kicked the Colts butt, but E-Dog really started off the Miami and Tennessee game with that touchdown, and I thought I was going to lose. It didn't matter, but Tennessee coming back with 3 minutes to go, which was super electric. Will Levis looked great. Kind of sealed me the dub. So it wasn't significant for me. E-Dog had to do a lot to make the playoffs, but it was good to get another win under the belt.
I actually think that his playoff look was it was more or less, it was gone. He was mathematically eliminated
He had to
before
score
the
like
week actually
100.
wrapped up.
He had to score like 130 more than like Seb, I think.
Good win. Way to wrap up the season with the W. I was going to look this one up. I can't think of the last time that we had a score that actually ended on a 0.0.
Yeah, I know. That was my thought too.
Rarely. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
What do we call this? Do we call this scoregami for fantasy? It might be. This might be.
I mean,
There's
there's
a
probably
lot of
lots of those,
scorigamis when you have decimals.
But hey, can't do that in the NFL. Can't get safety, but you can get a safety. Lamar had a safety. What happened there? It just miscommunication. Nothing. It just right past him and went ahead and just kicked right on a bounds. And
Smart
that's kind of
play,
what
honestly.
it's
Smart
smart
play.
play.
Very
It's fine.
smart play.
Yeah. But and he still got away with 31 points. Not enough though to get Victorville the irrelevant win, and Room 40 another consolation ladder, a loser ladder as we'll refer to it going forward. But he got the W at 105. So another one just showing up.
I'm going to make a point here, too, which I just realized. We didn't reset the schedule for this last week, but every game this week was between a team that made the playoffs and a team that didn't make the playoffs, which is kind of crazy odds.
That's crazy that we had. It was one of each game one made it into the championship and one didn't. Another person who's had a struggle bus on the latter half of the season, Mr. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Seb, why don't you? The Targeting Crawdaddies fell on this one, and they could have used that win to secure.
Yeah, we really would have boosted them up in the playoff bracket, but maybe they're resting their starters this week, kind of coming on to next week strong. Not sure what's going on, but I think Trayvon Diggs needed this moral boost. I don't know the last time he's sent anything in the group chat, so he might be a little absent, but this is the first week that Rams duo has performed. It does help when you have the number one kicker, but first week that wide receiver duo performed, and I think that's going to carry them through that losers bracket or whatever you want to call it. When you get a 24 point differential between the kickers, it's going to make a lot of difference in the game. So can't be doing that, Tarkenton. Or you know what? Continue that next week, please.
This might be the earliest we've called it in a podcast episode.
All right, and I think that means it's time for the it's time for the for the matchup.
Was this the matchup of the week? I don't think this was actually the matchup of the week.
I don't know, but it's the last one where.
Yeah,
but it's the last one we're talking about. So it is therefore the matchup of the week. And G-Train Rats came off hot. They came up hot, looked good. I'll tell you what, I don't know if anybody else in the league gives us so much of a reaction. With one if a touchdown gets scored against Taylor, I feel like he's like, nope, season's over. I'm not winning. I'm done. It's done. And he had minimal reason to be concerned. He had to get outscored by quite a few points. It was a pretty straightforward win for him.
Yeah, I mean, the playoff push now has a name change, and that's what 6 wins in a row will do for you. So PP squeaks one by here. I don't think he needed it to make the playoffs, but very, very strong push, quite literally, to get to the playoffs, and we'll see if it can keep going into the playoffs.
Aaron, you not only led in as you should, and you did a great job doing it. You led in your record, and you also were a top point scorer. So congratulations, you secured the bank to some extent. Takes a little of the pressure off.
Yeah, so 1576 is our high scorer on the year, which I actually think is a little bit lower than previous years' top scorers. But yeah, so 1576 leads the way this year. Second place is the playoff push at 1508, and then third is Tarkington 1492. So you guys are probably rooting for, if you're not going to win yourselves, for me to win so that you guys can potentially take some money. So it feels good to be in the money right now. Yeah, so first was me, playoff PP was second, and then third was Tarkington. And I also want to note too that the top 6 scorers in our league made the playoffs, which again is, you may say that's kind of obvious, but it's not always, because certain situations like Team Keegs being the 13th highest scorer, beating out Glenn by a mere 29 points, was our number 2 seed. Well, I should say number 3 seed because division winner takes over. But he was the number 2 best record in the league this year. So points don't make it all. Keeg with 1284. We had a 290 point difference between the two of us, and we were the top 2 record teams, which is crazy.
I outscored him. By 2 points, and I finished the season at 4, and right? Did I get 4 wins? I don't know at this point. All right, so let's talk real quick about lowest and hottest and coldest of the season. I'll start us out with the coldest, then we can finish with maybe the hottest if you guys got one. I would say that it was the 0-5 start by Room 40, but he wasn't able to do much else. He kind of wrapped up his season after that. Got 4 wins after that, then followed by 4 more losses. So that was rough. But I think the one that probably hurt the most was who we were just talking of. We got the 2 PP boys, I think, in the hottest and coldest. Sir Coxlot, Oh, do we have a guest? Bring him on. Is that Taco?
Say hi. Hi. Yeah, everybody hear him? Hey, buddy. Yeah. That's Taco.
It's incredible.
He's screaming in the background.
No, Taco, thank you for that. Thank you for the input.
Yeah, I mean, with Room 40, like you said, they had 5 losses and then 4 wins and then 4 losses. So theoretically, they're beating Jacks here in the first round of the playoffs. Theoretically,
and they'd be just fine. But then the other PP, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of hot streaks and PPs and whatnot, for a long time we talked about Vic starting off 4-0, me starting off 4-0, and some of those big win streaks early on.
Brandon was up there. Yeah,
Brandon had a big one early on, but the last 6 games of the season, which are the big time, the big dogs show up, going into the playoffs. 6 weeks, the 6-week win streak. The PP was dead for 6 weeks, and he has risen to make the playoffs. 6 wins in a row, the hottest team in our league right now. And honestly, I would be scared to be matched up with him in the playoffs. So the PP is coming back with a vengeance against Victorville Vengeance in the playoffs this next week.
Yeah, what's wild is that is not even his. It is a very long win streak, but not even his personal longest. Last year, he did it in even more dramatic fashion with 9 wins. So he starts cold, but once he warms up, he's hot. He's hot, man. So Taylor, best of luck to you. Hopefully, you dropped it to throw bombs, bang moms last year, and then beat me in the third place, the consolation. But hopefully, you have a little better luck this year. If not, you can maybe secure some money.
But I'm proud of one particular player this year, which, again, we might have to confirm, but I think might be a record high in wins for this man. And for once, he's not securing the bye, and that's our G-Train Rats. 5 wins, 9 losses. We know what we're getting with Glenn Shen. God love him. We love you so much. But you're not the last place team this year. You even tied for the second to last record. So proud of you, Glenn. You got an extra game to prove yourself in the losers bracket, and I really hope that it's not you this year.
Yeah, Glenn did win.
But I guess we'll see.
3 wins that first season, and then he had 4 the following, 5 this year. He's climbing the ladder.
Hey,
Shoot, he might be
in the playoffs.
Yeah, he might make the playoffs by 2026. Yeah, man, that'd be exciting, wouldn't it? We'll see. Yeah, well done, Glenn. We'll see what happens here in the consolation in the loser ladder.
And
Is that
and
should we,
one more call out we were talking about earlier. There are two teams that have made the playoffs all 3 years of the Draft Daddies. So that's kudos to Kamish and kudos to Keegs. We lost a couple this year with Ass not making it and with Chris not making it. So two daddies that have been playoff bound every year.
and a couple real quick, we might as well shout out the few. This is Peyton's first playoff trip. Aaron, this isn't your first. This is your second. Yeah, this is your second.
Brandon's first.
This is Brandon's first playoff trip.
Is it
so
Vic's
I think
first?
it just Vic, I believe no, Vic has not. Vic made it last year.
Okay.
Vic made
Yeah.
it last year.
Yeah,
So Brandon
Vic
and
made it
Peyton's
last
first.
year. So
Only thing that's on my mind. So go run this town tonight.
Yeah, I said it. We are.
So go run this town tonight.
Stop. First running with they diligence. Kid moving deaf if you boys really know. This man we squared up. Hold up.
So go run this town tonight. So go run this town tonight.
Sick video.
Sick.
I don't know about you guys. I am even more excited about the playoffs than I was when I secured the first seed. So, I mean, kudos to Ass. Incredible video. I'm hyped. I hope you're hyped. Let's talk about these matchups.
yeah, I actually am happier. I think being in the lovable. No, we're not lovable. In the loser ladder because I love little partying on. We're just having a good time down here in the losers.
And how about loser drafty there? We got glass half empty drafty struggling down there. So y'all down there in the losers bracket are fighting to keep those last drops in the cup.
Yeah, we're starting to feel like three-legged cats. But let's start with the championship. Let's start with the championship bracket here, gents.
Can we do a quick rule update for how the playoffs run?
Yeah. So the most important things with rules for playoff brackets is that both losers and winners playoff brackets will be reseeded every week to have the lowest and the highest seed facing off. So I mean, if you were to look at that winners bracket right now, you see TaylorMade on the bye next week. They're going to get the lowest seeded winner from that previous. So if playoff push advances, but so does the Chicago Dogs, they would get the Chicago Dogs in that scenario. But it also works the same way in the losers bracket.
All right. So we're gonna run through them real fast. Us three, we're gonna predict our brackets out. We've taken a second, we've thought about it, done all of our internal analytics. We're gonna run through real quick, and we're gonna see who's gonna be a champion. See if you guys can remove your. I think you guys might have a little bias, but I don't. I again, this is the dog I have in the fight, and this dog ain't winning anything. So, Aaron, why don't you start us off since you have the bye? And I think you're going to win this week. I think you've got that one secured.
Yeah, week 15. I think I feel pretty good about myself taking the victory. So I'm gonna rest my players this week. Take the first one. Victor Vela versus PP. I got to roll with the man that's got 6 wins in a row. I'm taking the PP to win in the first round. He's the higher seed. He's the favorite, but I do think PP wins. I on the 6 versus 3 seed, the Dogs versus Keegs. I am actually going to take the Dogs. I think that the Chicago Dogs show up in big matches. They handed me my first loss on the year, so I think the Dogs will take down Keegs. They score a lot more points. And then the Wildfires versus Tarkington. I actually think that Tarkington is one of the scarier teams. And I do think that Tarkington is going to take home the win. This is a battle of two guys who don't have great quarterbacks anymore. So I think Tarkington has a little bit more with the rest of the team. So moving on then, I would now, if we are reseeding, I would be taking on the Chicago Dogs in my second matchup. So TaylorMade versus Chicago Dogs. It's a matchup. Y'all know how it is when you play the same team twice in a year. It's hard to beat them twice. So I am going to give myself the victory over the Chicago Dogs this time and move myself on to the finals here. PP and Tarkington's a great matchup, and I actually think that PP is has a much better team at this point, and PP will take the win here. And then PP versus myself in the final. Death of the PP. Sorry, buddy. It is your death. TaylorMade for the playoffs, buddy. I mean, completely biased, but the team that's led wire to wire, the highest scoring team in the league, I got to give it to myself. And I'm trying to break the curse of number 1 seeds not winning the championship.
Kamish, I am curious to see if you pick yourself to win.
I mean, screw Tarkington. It's cold outside. The Crawdaddies go home. They hibernate. They don't come out. The river freezes over. You're not getting the Crawdads to fight. Yeah, so I'm taking this one. I think whoever I pick up is going to be better quarterback position-wise. I think that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, we'll see how Mitch Trubisky does for you.
Yeah. Well, we'll see who I pick up.
All right, Team Keeg, Chicago Dogs.
Little secret. Yeah, we're going with the Chicago Dogs here. We're going with Chicago Dogs again. I think Keegs just hasn't scored enough points this year. So, yeah, Chicago Dogs taking home the dub. And then Victorville and PP. Again, we're actually going to go Victorville. We're going to give him a little bit of an upset here. I like PP's team, but again, historically, he makes this playoff push, kind of collapses early on. That's what's going to happen again. Victorville again here.
Ooh. Let's do this one first. So after the reseed, we got Chicago Dogs versus Victorville, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who do you think out of those two?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you got the 1, the 7, the 6, and the 5 going up here. So a lot of upsets. We love it. We got the Chicago Dogs. Again, this is the first year making the playoffs. They're going to act like some seasoned vets here, though. They are the oldest guy of the group. They got a little bit more experience, even if they haven't been in the playoffs a bunch. They're picking up the win here with TaylorMade and the Wildfires.
You two. They're right
one.
here.
It's
Talk
a tough
shit.
one.
Go for it.
It's a tough one. I'm going to call it right now. David Montgomery is going to get hurt sometime in this next week or two. Gibbs is going to take over. Gibbs is going to be the wild card that's going to push the Wildfires up and ahead of TaylorMade. You can have a great season, just takes one bad week in the playoffs. So, call me the New York Giants with Eli Manning. Call me what you will. You can be Tom Brady, but I'm taking home this ship. And so that's my prediction. I'm going to go ahead and win. I think I can take over the Chicago Dogs in that matchup. 7v6.
Man, we can all dream, can't we? We can all dream.
We can.
We can.
Well, I thought I still had a chance to make the playoffs after I was 3 and whatever. So I guess, yeah, we can dream.
Well, let's get an unbiased view of this playoff bracket. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So my unbiased opinion is that you're going to get through your bye week just fine again. So congratulations on that. Victorville and PP, I do like this matchup, but and not to go with the odds, what they say, but I do agree with you. I think Death of the PP, he can make it through the first round. I don't think that one's going to be a challenge for him. I think he's going to make it through Victorville pretty straightforward. Vic has been waning on points, and I think that Lamar, I don't know how long Lamar is going to continue to do Lamar things with Mark Andrews being out. Sorry for the long analysis. I I'm going to jump down to Tarkington and Wildfires, and I promise I'm not doing this in spite. But you're I don't think you're getting past Tarkington. I think that Lamar starts to fall off a little bit. Gus Edwards will still keep getting his random multi-touchdown games, and I think that he's going to squeak past. I mean, it's hard for me to say that the Wildfire are going to be productive when you just almost got tripled in your score. So sorry about that, Kamish, but that it is what it is. It is what it is. And Chicago Dogs, I not to follow you, Aaron, but I think that we've got some pretty similar brackets showing up here. So all right, so we got then with the reseed, we got Chicago Dogs and TaylorMade, right? Right? Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he was my big trade partner. I'm going to start down here. He was my big trade partner, and I've been in the background cheering for him. He's a good old pal, good old buddy. I'm taking Tarkington. I think that it's his time. He put in the time and effort, and I think that would be well deserved to get there. I think he's got the team to do it. He, like you said, Aaron, I think he's got one of the scarier teams. All right, so we got the 1 seed and the 6 seed, and Aaron, I just don't see. I agree with you. I don't see him beating you 2 times. I think that you have made your point. I think that there is still some gas left in the tank, or you got some flex fuel. Maybe you're driving a hybrid, but whatever it is, it's going to get you to the championship. Out of you two, this is where I think I am perplexed as to who to choose. Genuinely could go back and forth all day, but I don't want us to be choosing the same one. So I'm going Tarkington, and there is a little bit of rationale, and that being that this would be week 17, and the 49ers would be well in. Maybe they're resting McCaffrey a bit. They're not making their huge pushes, and the Detroit Lions are going to have to be pushing real hard. So I don't think Demon's going to get injured. I think he's going to stay strong. So I'm going Tarkington, but I do think that this would be a good matchup. We got the tees matching off. So there you go. That is your podcast hosts picks. We got 2 for 2 of the hosts. Big shocker. And then I'm going Tarkington because we got to shake it up. Shake it out.
In that Disney Channel show. Shake it up.
Shake it up.
All right.
Shake it up.
So, Kamish, real quick, can you, and maybe I'll throw a graphic up so we can explain how the consolation bracket works.
Yeah, again, works pretty similar to that the winner's bracket here. Asheville getting the bye. Again, the goal of if you win, you do not advance, meaning you win, you do not advance to be the loser. So the losing team advances.
It's whoever ends on a losing streak. So who do you guys think is ending on a losing streak?
Yeah, I'll jump in to start.
We don't have to
here.
walk through this all the way, but maybe give us your bottom 2 and then your loser.
Well, quickly, I want to say Room 40 and Jacksonville is a crazy matchup. These 2 dudes have been going off. So I do think that Jax doesn't do it. So Room 40 is going to win this one. I think that Cox is going to win his matchup. And I actually think that E-Dog's going to beat Diggs. And so that gives me Trayvon, G-Train, and Jax against you. And then I truly think Jax would beat you. I think Jax would beat you. And I think that Glenn can pull it out. And I think that last round could be Asheville versus RIP Trayvon Diggs. And I'm going to say it. He hasn't performed. Let's say that Diggs is our loser this year. That's my loser.
Hey, even though I didn't choose you for the dub, I appreciate that. Commish, what do you got?
I don't want to see G-Train lose 3 years in a row.
You don't? Some don't, some do. I feel like you're on either or. Throw it in the comments. Where are you at?
Oddly enough, I feel like I'm in a pretty similar spot. I do think Cox is probably the most talented group, as they should be in this bracket here. I think they might pick up
Stroudless team. Let's remember.
Stroud might come back actually next week. I think he just had a concussion, so we'll see if he can come back.
Oh, I thought he was out. Maybe not. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. yeah, I think Cox is the strong group of this. I think G Train manages to get out the following week, regardless. I don't know exactly how matchups it might end up working out, but I do think it'll be a bottom two of RIP Trayvon Diggs. And I think the surprising one that I'm going to say is going to be Jack here. Because I think if Cox makes it out first round, then Jack will play Asheville second round. I think Asheville picks up that win, which then puts them in the finals versus Trayvon Diggs. And I mean, it could go either way here. For the sake of good measure, just because he beat me this week and because he has my house, Jack's our loser.
Wow. That's a bold take, and I like it. I almost feel obligated to pick myself now.
We picked ourselves to win. You have to pick yourself to lose.
Yeah, no, but I don't mind. It really doesn't bother me to. Well, maybe I do want to be the first. Maybe I want to be the first person who won the league and also finishes last. But so in these matchups, looking across, I think Room 40. I think Jack maybe gets out of this week. I think Room 40 advances on, and then E-Dog and Trayvon. I'm gonna flip the script, and I think E-Dog actually takes the L here. And I think that Chris has been on the losing train for too long, and I think he's got to turn it around. Maybe Cooper Kupp found something that he was missing, and G Train and Sir Coxlot. Well, man, you can't not pick Glenn for at least one loss to get through. So then that would put myself versus that would be against E-Dog. Yeah, so I guess I unintentionally chose no, I didn't. Anyway, so yeah, me against E-Dog. I'll give myself the L there, and that's just because I think it's got to be interesting. I will say, I think I have a great bye week next week. It's just kind of how it plays out. And I'm saying maybe 140, 150. We'll see. That's my hot take on this one, which in this, then I have Room 40 and the G Train Rats. And I think Room 40 is strong enough to get through them. So I'm going Rats and Asheville Amphetamines, the DDC champions facing off in the losers bracket. And I'll be damned. I'm pulling for the three-peat. I'm pulling for the three-peat because I don't want to be a one-peat. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going G Train Rats.
Yeah.
Because he has had some fortunate. You know what? You got to give him credit where credit's due. But maybe he doesn't make the playoffs in 26. Maybe it's really more like a 27 kind of thing. But maybe next year he actually doesn't lose, but I think this year he is. So there's my biased opinion.
I think it's great.
I think it's great.
Someone had to pick him. I mean, I'm kind of bummed someone didn't go with you, but maybe someone in this league believes that it's going to be you, or maybe someone.
Oh, I guarantee they do.
It's going to be them.
Hey, best of luck to you guys. Even though I finished last, I still love each and every one of you guys. I think that Aaron, what do we have this week? You have what? We have our bye week. All right. Should we say bye? Should we say bye?
Daddies, we love you so much. Thank you for a great regular season. We wouldn't be here without your guys' enthusiastic support throughout the year. Best of luck to those of you trying to win in the championship bracket. Best of luck to those of you trying to win in the losers bracket and not be the loser. So,
any last words, Kamish?
Love you guys.
All right.
I hope everyone has a great week besides Tarkington. I hope his team dies.
You're
Love
gonna
you,
feel real
daddies.
bad. Love you, daddies. Hey, Aaron,
Love you guys.
we missed him.
Mwah.
There it is.
Mwah.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.